We spent the last few days in the state Senate debating the budget for next year. By far the most emotional issue in the whole conversation was the issue of safe communities. So let's break it down. What the Safe Communities Act is about is trust. Local police need the trust and cooperation of all residents. If a man is abusing a woman, or if violent gangs are terrorizing a neighborhood, we want that woman or the people in that neighborhood to feel free to go to the police without fear that the police will pounce on them and check their papers. The Lund decision, which came down last year, basically said to local law enforcement that you cannot hold people just because ICE wants them. You have to have a valid Massachusetts reason for holding people. Where does Lund leave us? On the one hand, it does not accomplish the goals of the Safe Communities Act. It leaves open the many ways that local law enforcement could indirectly do the work of ICE and damage community trust. And at the same time, it limits the practical ability of local authorities to deliver to ICE even very dangerous criminals that may have come into their local custody. So we had on the table in the legislature the Safe Communities Act, which was a pretty balanced bill, and through a lot of negotiations through the course of the past year had come to a pretty good place. There was a pretty good compromise on the table. Unfortunately, those negotiations bogged down, and so in the Senate budget process, there were two competing amendments on the table, one from the very pro-immigration standpoint, one from a more of an enforcement standpoint, and there was no space in the middle. So the product that we voted for was pro-immigrant. It's good, sends a positive message, but it's actually not balanced, and it's not viable. The governor has said he's going to veto it, and it's really a complicated issue. There are a lot of details. On the one hand, the trust community rules are kind of agreed, but when you start asking the question of just who can you hold, we don't want to destroy trust. We want to only allow deportation or cooperation with ICE in very defined circumstances. But what are those circumstances? That's a very complicated issue. There's no active process in place to work out those issues, so I'm a little pessimistic that we're going to get to end of job on this issue in the 2017-18 session.